Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Francisco Quixtan and I make content about music education, music performance, and pretty much everything involving music. I have this package that came in about 2 months ago. This package is from one of my college professor friends, and he emailed me and said, hey, I have a bunch of reeds and clarinet stuff. Would you be interested in having some? So I said absolutely, and I've been holding on to this for a long time. So let's see what's in the package. We have 5 reeds and denture wax, which we'll talk about probably in another video. I already knew what was in this package, but I decided that because I'm opening it up now and I have some time where the baby's asleep and there's literally nobody else home, I can focus on what I wanted to do with this. Today I want to talk about how I start reeds. Now, I'm not telling you the type of reed that I'm using or working on because I don't want people to have this false idea that by buying these reeds, by buying this brand, by using this strength, you'll have the sound that I have. The method that I'm about to show you works for all kinds of reeds except for synthetic, and developing a system in which to break in reeds is the main goal of why I'm showing you this. I want you to come up with a method and have an idea and start trying it out so that you can create a process. Disclaimer, what I'm about to show you is not the only way to start reeds and break in reeds. I am a clarinet professional with a degree in music performance that learned this process from a professional clarinet player that has performed for many years in orchestras, in auditions, in recitals. So I trust this person. But having said that, every single person that you talk to that plays clarinet has a different way to start their reeds. There is no right way to do this. There are wrong ways to do this, but there is no right way to do this. For this, you'll need a container where you can put water, room temperature water. I live in Florida, so the water is very hard. There's a lot of materials in the water, so I'm using water from a water bottle. Sandpaper, a case. I'm using this, and this is the only time that I'll say anything about a brand. Vendoren. Vendoren sent me these cases for students to be able to rotate their reeds. So I'm using this for the first time. I have another reed case that I typically like to use, but for this specific tutorial, I'm using this Vendoren rotating case where it allows you to have space for all reeds. So you put them here and you put them on the other side. You kind of keep track of what is happening. You start with one side, switch to the next. So you're always rotating your reeds, which is the best way to keep your reeds long lasting. So instead of having the one reed that you are always relying on for every concert, the one good reed, you have multiple reeds because you're rotating around and playing them consistently. Reeds, obviously, your instrument so that you can test them out, and a timer. We're gonna get started by pouring some water into this glass container. I don't choose anything that's too big because otherwise you have reeds floating everywhere and you don't have to fill it all the way. I fill it about this much. Then you're going to open your reeds and get them all out of the package. Now at this point, you don't necessarily need to mark every reed and keep in mind of this one, this is this reed and this one is that. We'll get to that point later.
2 hours later.
Now that we have our reeds opened, we're gonna take them out of this little case and put them into the water. Now I like to kind of put them against the edge just so that they stay nice and submerged. I'll show you here in a second, and make sure you're carefully placing the tip of the reed down. So tip of the reed, which you're not touching, down into the water. That's the part that has to be underwater. I'm working with 5 reeds. So I'm placing them all into my water for 5 minutes. 5 minutes. All my reeds are in here, nice and submerged. I'm going to take that 5 minutes to get everything else set up. So I'm taking out my instrument and getting ready to play. And we still have 3.5 minutes. So I want to choose on what to play, which I already know is the Rose Etude number 1. I'm going to play that with every single reed. All right, so it's been 5 minutes. So I'm taking out all my reeds from the water. And if you can see, maybe this camera likes me today. So maybe you can't see it, but if I hold up the reed onto the light, I now can see the heart of the reed. So there's a light part right here on the top. The tip of the reed is nice and light, and it gets a little bit, it's like a gradient, a little bit thicker towards the bottom, this part right here. And I see that in all reeds. So they're all looking kind of nice, consistent, except for this one. This one, it has a nice little thin line right here and super thick all the way in the heart of the reed in every single part. So I'm gonna line them up, showing you, lining them up nice and neatly. And what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna suck the air out of the reeds on both sides, the tip and the bottom of the reed. And then the bottom. This is what I was taught, by the way. Then I'm going to use the oils in my fingers to kind of seal the reed. And then with the sandpaper, I'm gonna sand the bottom of the reed so as to seal that part of things. I'm gonna go to the next reed and do this for all of them. I guess you could technically do them all at once, but that would not have been pretty for you to watch me do. So I'm just gonna do that like this. I just did it individually. The next step, so with your sandpaper, make sure you have a flat surface, and you're gonna take the reed, and again, this is what I've been taught, and it's worked for me. You don't have to do this step if you feel like it's a little nerve-wracking, but you're gonna take the reed and scrape on the flat surface going down one side. So you're going to scrape, show you here, just like that. And that is to flatten, and that's on the flat side of the reed, just to flatten and seal those fibers. And you're gonna do the same thing to the front of the reed. Just go one way, and you don't have to press down a lot. I'm using the flat surface, but I'm just gonna show you. You're going to, just like this, go in one direction, and then same thing with the face of the reed. And what I was taught is that when you do this, you're sealing those fibers, you're sealing that water in there. And I'm not putting a lot of pressure. I'm just nicely and neatly rubbing against it. And some of you, clarinet players, will have experienced what it's like to feel those fibers. And it's a little uncomfortable at times. So that's why we sand them down and flatten them so that there's nothing and everything's nice and sealed, is what I've been taught. Again, I'm not claiming to be the expert on reed making. I will not lie to you. Sometimes I just open a reed and play it. But we're doing things the right way for once. So now that you feel it, you should feel like it's very, very smooth. And it's cool. Every single one of them is smooth. Again, I'm not sitting there going and just scraping away at the reed. That's not going to be good for it. Remember, there's fibers that are basically alive. You can't add more to it. You can take away some, but you can't add to it. So you have to be very, very careful with reeds. Just like as you're watching me, I'm not touching the tip of the reed. I'm doing anything. Now at this point, I'm going to mark every single reed. Every single reed looks different. They all have distinct shapings and markings on it. Like this one has some spots on it. This one has more here, but I'm not gonna remember that. So I'm gonna take a pencil and mark every single reed with a number 1 through 5, because I have 5. I just need a pencil. So with your pencil, I go on the back of the reed, the flat part of it, and I'm just gonna mark a little number, nothing too crazy. This is gonna be number 1. I have used markers for this, but they bleed into the fibers, so it's a little tricky. 2, And it can be Roman numerals if you want. It can be Mayan numerals. It can be anything. You don't even have to do numbers. You can do smiley face, sad face, frowny. You can do emojis. Whatever makes you happy. 4. See, this is why we marked them, because I already forgot. And 5. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play these reeds for 10 minutes each. So I'm just going to get set up with my instrument, play a couple notes, and go from there. I want to talk about this. I feel very strongly about this. Some of you, I watch you put your instruments together and you are exactly why these reeds break all the time. My ligature is already on my mouthpiece, and I'm going from the bottom, and then I'm placing it that way. Lining it up, making sure that it's nice and flat with the instrument, the mouthpiece I mean, that I can see a little bit of black from the mouthpiece up top, and then I'm tightening my ligature. A lot of people go, place the reed, line it up, beautiful, and then they place their ligature and break the reed on the way down. That's what happens, you just break the reed. Now, I'm going to probably speed this process up because I don't need you to sit here and watch me for 50 minutes practice these instruments, these reeds, but we'll see what happens. When I'm playing across the whole range to see what this reed can handle just upon first impressions, but not going and staying in one range for too long, because then I'm more working the reed. It's brand new, it just woke up from hibernation, so we want to be gentle and nice and easy for 10 minutes. Again, I'm playing the Rose number 1 etude with all the reeds just to kind of test out. I feel like that one uses a nice range of dynamics, articulations, and range, so that I can get a true idea as to what this reed can handle, at least for the first 10 minutes. I don't love this reed. I haven't even given it a chance, but this reed is a little bit harder than what I'm used to. Excuse. Reed number 1 is done. We play for 10 minutes. So, it's some of my ideas on this one is that it's okay. It's a little stiff with the articulation. I'm kind of having a hard time to really speak clearly. I'm going to take this reed. I'm going to put it in the case. I'm going to go back to it tomorrow. Maybe do another 15 minutes. And progressively use it more and more as I continue to break it in. That's the main idea. You are waking it up after being sealed and packaged for who knows how long. So you gotta give it time. You can't just run a marathon, you have to train for it. So this reed is not performing at a concert tomorrow, for sure. Not performing tonight. We did 10 minutes today, 15 tomorrow, and so on and so forth. So that's why I have the 5 reeds, so that I'm giving every single one a chance to kind of warm up to it. So we're going to reed number 2. It's looking a little bit better, not as dark as the other one. And what I mean by dark is that I can't really show you in the camera, but there's a thin layer, and maybe I'll put a diagram over there. It's a thin layer that's a gradient. The lightest at the tip, and then dark in the middle, the heart of the reed, and then lighter on the sides. And so I'm gonna take the reed, play it for 10 minutes, and go from there. Again, line it up, ligature down first, line it up, a little bit of black from the mouthpiece visible, line up the bottom as well, tighten the ligature, and go from there. completely different. Completely different from the first one. May I come from a different box, may I come from the same box, but that's just the nature of reeds. They're all different. Second reed is much better in my opinion than the first one. I really like it. It speaks freely. So I'm done with 2 reeds. Put them in here, numbered so that I can see them next time. And then going for reed number 3. Different, fuzzier, different. Reed 3 is a little more, I don't know how to describe it, aggressive, a little bit less clear, and like it's fighting back a little bit. That's what I mean by aggressive. It fights back a little bit. Like it listens eventually, but it needs to be broken in. I don't know. If I'm ranking them as of right now, I'm thinking number 2, followed by number 3, and then number 1. Reed number 4. It's kind of funny to me. I'll play the etude, the first etude for the rose, and I'll play it and get an idea, and then immediately jump to an etude that I think would be most beneficial for the reed based on their qualities and just one playing. So for one reed, I play the number 2. For another one, I did the etude number 6 or the number 7. One of my favorites, number 7. So it's just interesting that every quality of the reed, depending on what I get from that first playthrough, gives me an idea as to what etude to gravitate towards. So I think that's kind of funny. All right, first impressions of reed number 4. Reed number 4 was another stuffy one, so I wasn't in love with it. Tried to play a little bit different, more articulate things for 10 minutes, and we get that thuddiness. And obviously, it couldn't be me. It was me a little bit, but the reed was kind of also getting in the way. So rankings right now, I'm thinking reed number 2 as number 1. Reed number, oh no, I forgot. But I should be writing this down, right? So that I remember it. All right, let me check my notes that I definitely do have right here. So it goes reed number 2, followed by reed number 3, then reed number 4, and reed number 1 being the stuffiest. And I already knew, okay, maybe I'm biased, but I already, just based on looking at it and seeing how thick the heart of the reed is and how uneven that gradient of thin and then darker it was, I knew it was going to be just harder-ish to play. So trying to read number 5, doing first introductions and going from there. I need to say it again, ligature first, then reed. Talking about bias, I'm seeing a couple of, not chips, but a little bit of discrepancy. Like the tip of the reed should be nice and smooth. And this one has a couple of chip-looking markings in there that is probably going to affect the sound. So we'll see what happens. after playing these reeds for 50 minutes, I think I have decided my ranking. It goes reed number 2, followed by reed number 3, followed by this one, reed number 5, then 4, and then 2. So this case doesn't have enough room for all of them. So I'm going to take my favorite reed and place it in the main rotation of reeds because I have multiple reeds and reed cases. So add it to that and see and play. I'm going to take my least favorite reed, take that out. Why are you even here? Oh, here's an example as to why I don't use pen or ink anymore. See how smudged that is? It like gets everywhere. So pencil, the best way to do things. That least favorite reed that I took out, I'm not going to throw away. I'm going to keep it, hang on to it like a hoarder, and put it in a separate case, individual, and put it in the case so that we can have it as a backup, because you never know when you're going to need a reed, even a bad one. And even those bad reeds, you can work on them to make them a little bit better with sandpaper or reed clippers. Hopefully, some of you learned something and are able to have a better idea as to how to start reeds. And it's not something that we really, even in my studies, talked about a lot. And this video was all inspired because I had a conversation with a person that said, hey, I've been playing clarinet for a couple of decades and nobody has ever sat me down and told me how to start reeds. So is there a specific way? And I was with another professional clarinet performer and he said, nope, I just pop him in and start playing and then do my own rotation. So it's just, there's a lot of different methods. There's a lot of different ways. There's right things to do. There's wrong things to do. Don't just start scraping your reed away. Always ask. When in doubt, ask. Leave a message on Instagram or on TikTok or here on YouTube, whatever you want to do in case you have any questions, and I can help you with that. So thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.